The first day, the real young master returns home. My whole family can hear my inner thoughts. I exposed the Manny for having a secret crush on Dad. She even put that thing inside her body, and even hid the remote control in the sole of Dad's shoe. Mom was so furious she fired the nanny on the spot. I rambled about eldest Nuna's best friend shorting her company's stock. Eldest Nuna immediately pulled all her capital from the tech sector and conveniently unmasked her fiancé's true face. The relatives who used to pamper that fake young master are now all competing to treat me well. The fake young master won't understand until his dying breath why nothing changed, why everyone loathes him more and more every day. Just as I stepped out of the car, before I could even admire the luxury villa in front of me, the butler rushed out to greet us. "Master, Madam, you've finally returned. The young master is threatening to leave home." Mu Qingshan and Su Mei's hearts tightened. Earlier on the road, they had heard Muji's inner voice, saying that to kick him out, Mu Baichuan would definitely use the leaving home tactic. They didn't believe it back then, but now it seems it's really true. Mu Baichuan walked downstairs with his luggage. His pained face forced a smile. "Dad, Mom, I've thought about it all night. Since my brother has returned, I must return this family to him. So, am leaving." The butler hurried to stop him. "Young master, you've always been the son whom the master and Madam love the most. If you leave, how could they bear it?" Mu Baichuan lowered his head. Tears fell. "The Mu family has raised me for 20 years. I should know when to be satisfied. Just let me go and fend for myself." Su Mei sighed softly. After all, he was the child she raised for 20 years. Even a dog has feelings, let alone a human being. She stepped forward, distressed. "Baichuan, didn't we already talk about this? Dad and I brought Muji back, but not to chase you away." Mu Qingshan added, "That's right. Baichuan, you are also our son." But Mu Baichuan shook his head. "Everything I have originally belonged to him. If I continue to stay here, one day there will be no place for me in the Mu family." I thought with disdain. Wow, finally targeting me, huh? Quite the deep performance. That suitcase is obviously empty. It's all just for show. Only parents would fall for such a ridiculous act. Su Mei and Mu Qingshan frowned at the same time. Then they both glanced at the suitcase in Mu Baichuan's hand. Seeing this, Mu Baichuan hurriedly hid the suitcase behind his back. But from his nimble movements, it was clear that there were no belongings inside that suitcase. Su Mei and Mu Qingshan aren't stupid either. They naturally sensed the weight of the suitcase. Even if it wasn't completely empty, there probably wasn't anything substantial inside. Mu Baichuan also realized that his little trick had been exposed. He quickly said, "Master Mu, Madam Su, since it's like this, if I'm not your biological son, then I won't take anything from the Mu family with me." As he spoke, he looked pained as he pulled out several luxury car keys from his pocket. These were all his treasures, but to play the part well, he had to sacrifice them. I didn't wait for him to finish rambling, snatched the bunch of keys away, and looked at him with a mocking gaze. You. Mu Baichuan pointed at me, pressing the rage in his heart. Then he barely managed to force a smile. "These were birthday gifts from Master Mu and Madam Mu. I hope you don't mind that they're used." I pretended not to understand Mu Baichuan's sarcasm, smiling as I thanked him. Since they're from Mom and Dad, how could I possibly mind? But in my heart, I sighed. Well, I'll keep these cars for now. The Mu family is going bankrupt soon anyway. Selling these cars then should cover us for a while. Hearing this, Su Mei and Mu Qingshan were horrified. Bankrupt? The Mu family is no small clan. If anyone else had said this, they would have ignored it immediately. But since bringing Mu Ge back, all of his inner thoughts have come true. But how could such a thing happen? Right then, a graceful figure walked into the villa. Seeing Mu Ge, her eyes were full of contempt and disgust. "Just got back and already stealing from your brother. What a country bumpkin." Su Mei frowned. "Wulu Nuna, what nonsense are you talking? Mu Ge is your real biological brother." I wasn't angry, just feeling pity in my heart. Such a domineering female CEO of the Mu family. Yet after being the female lead of a tragic romance, she'll be conned out of love and money by her best friend and a scumbag. Not only that, her heart and kidneys will be taken, and she'll lose 5 children too. Truly a tragedy beyond words. Hearing these thoughts, the Mu couple present and Wu Lu herself were all stunned. What tragic lead? Heart and kidney removal. 5 lives at once. Could it be the children in Wu Lu's womb? Wu Lu couldn't believe the fiancé she carefully chose and her best friend of over 10 years would ever betray her. How could such a thing happen? But when she turned to look at her parents, she saw the horror on their faces. She tentatively asked, "Dad? Mom? You too? Are you?" Wu Lu. Mu Qingshan quickly interrupted her. "Now that you're home, go talk some sense into Bai Chuan. He's always listened to you the most since childhood." Seeing her parents winking at her, Wu Lu suppressed her doubts, pulling the flustered Bai Chuan upstairs. At noon, the whole family gathered at the table. Mu Qingshan smiled at me. "Mu Gi, now that you're back, you'll have to take over the family business sooner or later. Are you interested in helping me out?" My eating paused, but I don't know anything. My heart was full of weariness. I'm already a wealthy young master. Why would I work? Isn't it better to just enjoy life? Plus, I have to go to university. There's still someone there waiting for me to teach them a lesson. Mu Qingshan's eyelid twitched. Right. Who knew my biological son was such a good actor? Always thinking ill of us in his heart, yet pretending to be so sensible on the outside. Sume looked at her husband. "Honey, Mugo is still young. Why are you in such a hurry? Let him go to school first. It won't be too late to join the company after graduation." Mu Beichuan also spoke up. "Dad, Mom, I also think my brother should go to school." I curled my lip. Mu Beichuan really is thick-skinned. A moment ago, he was dying to leave, calling them Master Mu, Madam Su, and now he's calling them Dad and Mom so sweetly. Mu Beichuan suddenly realized this was a good opportunity to humiliate Mu Gi. Quickly said, "Dad, Mom, isn't the entrance exam for next year still 6 months away? Lately, my university has been collaborating with outside organizations for admissions. You can get in just by paying a little money." Hearing this, Mu Qingshan frowned deeply. If he remembered correctly, those types of schools are all third-rate universities with no reputation. Sending his biological son there didn't seem right at all. But he had investigated before. Mu Gi had never taken a university entrance exam. If he doesn't even have a score, it seems the only way is to do as Bai Chuan suggested. I put down my chopsticks and smiled. "Dad, Mom, forgot to tell you. Actually, I already have a school. It's the same Qingbei University that brother Baichuan attends." Mu Baichuan was stunned for a moment, then he suddenly burst out laughing. "Brother, you're joking, right? You think anyone can just enter Qingbei? That's the top school in the country. I only got in back then because Dad donated an entire building. Who do you think you are?" I didn't bother with him, took out my phone and opened the student portal for Qingbei University. When Mu Baichuan saw the words Qingbei University, finance major on the screen, he was instantly frozen. Qingbei is a top-tier university, and the finance major is the most elite one there. How could this kid possibly have gotten in? But after a moment of shock, he suddenly broke into a smile. "I say, Muge, wanting to go to school is a good thing, but to make our parents happy, by hiring someone to Photoshop a photo to deceive them is wrong." Saying that, he reached out to swipe Muge's phone screen to expose his lie. But to his surprise, the interface scrolled normally. It wasn't a photo at all. He started to get frustrated. This is ridiculous. I can't believe someone dared to fake Qingbei's student management system. Report it. I must report this. Dad, Mom, you must investigate this thoroughly. You can't let him deceive you. Sume said displeasedly. "Baichuan, what have I taught you about making wild assumptions about others? You say Muge faked his credentials. Do you have any proof? We already wanted to bring Muge to work at the company anyway, so what reason would he have to lie to us?" Mu Baichuan suddenly realized that he was being a bit too impulsive. He quickly corrected himself. "Mom, I didn't mean that. I'm just worried about Muge, afraid he's being tricked by outsiders." I took back my phone, wiped the screen with a look of disgust, then sighed softly, and made a phone call right there. After a few words with the person on the other end, I handed the phone to my father, Mu Qingshan. Coincidentally, Mu Qingshan knew the person on the other end. "Old Jiang? I didn't expect it to be you." Lao Jiang laughed. "I also didn't expect Muge to be your long-lost son. What a coincidence. This kid is our school's treasure. You absolutely cannot let him transfer elsewhere. Otherwise, I won't let you off." Mu Qingshan frowned. "But Muge never took the entrance exam. How can he be a student at Qingbei?" Lao Jiang acted mysterious. "That's because he participated in a secret project, so he was granted early admission. As for which project, even I'm not allowed to know." After hanging up, Mu Qingshan looked at me with immense shock. Qingbei University is a key institution. Many projects there are of national importance. If it was their secret project, then it must be an incredibly vital project. While everyone's mind was reeling, a discordant voice rang out. "What secret project? I'm sure the school just took some money, and made up some random excuse. Otherwise, Mu-ji, why don't you tell us which secret project you were part of? I glared at Mu Baishuan and said, do you want to end up in prison that badly? I'll dare to say it, but do you dare to listen? Mu Baichuan was only good at fooling around. How could he understand the weight of those words? Secret project? He mocked, ooh, ooh, ooh. Quite the actor, aren't you? Even threatening me with prison, acting like you're some kind of big shot. Enough. Sume finally couldn't take it anymore. She began to wonder if her parenting over the years with Mu Baichuan had been flawed. Baichuan, do you know that if a secret project like this is leaked, everyone involved will be investigated? Do you want to destroy this whole family? The mocking smile on Mu Baichuan's face froze instantly. Sume had never spoken to him so harshly before. What on earth is wrong today? Mu Baichuan locked himself in his room for the entire afternoon without showing his face. That slap in the face really hurt. Meanwhile, he didn't give up and sent someone to the finance department of Qingbei to investigate. Surprisingly, he actually found Muga's name on the list. I didn't care about him, leisurely sitting in the living room eating fruit and humming while listening to the system's gossip in my head. Post just now. Mu Baichuan secretly stuffed the second Mu daughter's sexy underwear under your blanket. You're about to be framed as a pervert by him. Hearing the system's annoying tone, I felt a headache coming on. Why am I even the protagonist in this drama? This Baichuan really is a pervert. He even dared to steal second Nuna's underwear. Hell stooped to any dirty trick imaginable. These words naturally reached the ears of the Mu couple and eldest Nuna Wu Lu. Everyone was bewildered by what was happening. Second sister Wu Yi Nuna is an extreme germaphobe. If she found out about this, she'd definitely throw Mu Gi into prison. I obviously knew that, so I rushed straight into my room and yanked the blanket off. Sure enough, that sensitive item was sitting right there. Just as I was about to dispose of it, I heard the voice of second Nuna, Wu Yi, coming from downstairs. Dad, Mom? I'm home. My heart skipped a beat. It's too late to return it to its place now. I'll just have to stuff it in my pocket for now. Mu Baichuan, hearing second Nuna's voice, excitedly ran downstairs and whispered something in her ear. After hearing it, Wu Yi was instantly enraged. This is outrageous. She then stormed up to the second floor. When she saw her wardrobe wide open and the small drawer inside also pulled out, her expression changed instantly. Both ashamed and angry, she rushed to Muji's door and pounded on it. Muji, open up. I know you're in there. Open the door right now. I opened the door, pretending to know nothing as I looked at them. Asked confusedly, second Nuna, what's wrong? Mu Baichuan stood by looking smug. Mu Gi, I really didn't expect this. Who knew you were the type to steal things from your Nuna? Stop pretending, hand it over. I was puzzled. I didn't take anything. Did second Nuna lose something? Mu Baichuan glared at me. I saw you coming out of second Nuna's room with my own eyes, and you were hiding something suspiciously. I went, oh, then you must have seen wrong. I haven't even stepped foot in her room. Mu Baichuan was furious. How could I have seen wrong? Do you dare let me search your room? I nodded. No problem. Search all you want. Just tidy up after you're done. With that, I stood aside to let him in. Mu Baichuan first pretended to search the wardrobe for a while, then finally moved toward the bed and yanked the blanket off. Everyone look. This is. Halfway through his sentence, his voice suddenly went silent. What's going on? Where did it go? I clearly stuffed it in here. Why did it vanish without a trace? Wu Yi also scoured the whole room and whipped around to glare at Mu Baichuan. Mu Baichuan had no words for his defense now. He couldn't exactly admit he planted it, only for it to mysteriously disappear. Unable to explain, he felt his chest tighten with immense frustration. Wu Yi snorted coldly and turned to leave the room. Behind her, the Mu couple and Wu Lu each had their own thoughts, silently witnessing this farcical scene. At dinner that night, the atmosphere at the table was even weirder. Because of the scene earlier, those who wanted to speak didn't dare, and those who didn't want to speak just ate in silence. I looked at my cold-faced second Nuna, Wu Yi, and couldn't help but feel bad for her. Second Nuna looks fine on the outside, but she's actually a pitiful soul. Despite being a genius surgeon who has saved countless lives, she was framed by her own classmate, who secretly altered her university application choices. Later, her right hand will be ruined. She won't be able to hold a scalpel for the rest of her life. Hearing that, Wu Ye froze instantly and looked at Muga with disbelief. His mouth clearly didn't move at all, or rather, no one here had spoken a word. Could this really be his inner voice? The matter of her application being changed years ago, she had never breathed a word about it to anyone, always assuming she just filled it out wrong. But now it seems there was more to that story. She perked up her ears, wanting Muga to say more,
She really wanted to know who dared to change her choices, so she could find them and skin them alive. But she waited and waited, only to see Muga eating in silence, never mentioning that classmate again. Mu Qingshan also really wanted to know
who had harmed his daughter, so he intentionally steered the conversation toward Wu Yi. Hey Mugi, your second Nuna wrongly accused you today. Don't take it to heart. I shook my head nonchalantly. It's fine. Second Nuna was probably just very worried. Don't worry, Mom and Dad. I know Second Nuna doesn't like people in her room. I definitely won't go near it. Hearing those words, Wu Yi's heart tightened once again. Others might not know, but she knew better than anyone that she really had lost a sensitive item. She didn't really believe in this hearing thoughts stuff, thinking maybe work stress was causing hallucinations, so she didn't bother further with the words she just heard. Early the next morning, Sume brought out a stack of real estate documents and placed them before me. Muge, see if any of these catch your eye. Last night she had discussed it thoroughly with her husband. Their son just returned and needed a lot of compensation, and the first step was to buy him a fancy car and house. I listened to the system's suggestion in my head and kept shaking my head. These projects don't have any potential for price increases, Mom. Just then, the system's voice rang excitedly in my head. Ost, look at this spot. Following its guidance, I pointed to a location on the map. I like this place. Sume looked at the empty plot of land I pointed at, looking confused. This place has been abandoned for years. Before, even when offered for dirt cheap, no one would look at it. Why do you want it? Mu Bai Chuan, standing nearby, didn't miss his chance to mock. Brother really has an eye for things, picking and choosing only to end up with a piece of junk land. I didn't bother with his type, turning to look at my mother seriously. Mom, trust me, in less than half a month, the value of this land will increase many times over. Though Sume still had many questions, she ultimately did as I wished, immediately sending company employees to buy that land, then, as if following a hunch, deciding to buy the surrounding plots as well. Right then, eldest Nuna Wu Lu came downstairs. Mom, I'm heading to the company now. Some urgent matters need my immediate attention. Sume was about to nod in agreement when she suddenly heard my inner thoughts. Hearing them, her expression changed drastically. At that moment, I watched Wu Lu Nuna's figure as she headed for the door, sighing in my heart. Being busy with work is such a perfect excuse, but she's actually going to meet that scumbag. Mu Qingshan and Sume looked at each other, both perking up their ears to listen closely. Yesterday, they had heard Mu Ji mention that their eldest daughter was the lead in a tragic romance. Today, they finally got to hear the next part. Wu Lu's footsteps faltered, though she still had many doubts about the inner thoughts she heard from Mu Ji, since it directly concerned her. She was curious to hear it all. I was completely unaware that, at this moment, 3 pairs of eyes were focused on me, while scrolling through my phone, and muttering in my head. That scumbag Zhu Yan is truly awful. Craving the Mu family's status and power, he's willing to play the loyal servant, coaxing eldest Nuna into following him blindly. In the end, not only does he drain all the family's assets, but he even heartlessly teams up with her best friend, force her to donate a kidney. They'll even cut out her heart, but the most detestable one is actually Mu Bai Chuan. For just a bit of spare change, he helps Zhu Yan pursue his sister, only to end up as the scumbag's errand boy. How despicable. They are truly a bunch of scoundrels. Hearing this, all 3 Mu family members eavesdropping were stunned. Mu Qingshan and Sume, hearing that their eldest daughter would meet such a tragic end, were so angry their whole bodies trembled. Even eldest Nuna Wu Lu frowned deeply, unable to believe in her heart that the man she loved and her best friend could betray her so heartlessly. After thinking it over for a long time, she finally spoke up. Dad, Mom, I plan to bring Gu Yan home for dinner tonight. After all, it's been a while since everyone saw each other. Would that be okay? Mu Qingshan and Sume nodded vigorously. Her plan this time perfectly aligned with the Mu couple's wishes. Touching the couple's inner voices, they also wanted to know the truth behind everything. Right at that moment, they heard Muga loud laughter in his heart. That guy can't make it tonight. He's got a burst hemorrhoid. He's lying face down in the hospital right now, grimacing in pain. In the evening, Yulu indeed returned alone. To verify Muga's inner thoughts, she had specifically rushed to the hospital, and sure enough, she saw Ko Yen grimacing there. Back home, she didn't mention a word about Ko Yen. The Mu couple understood each other's silence and didn't ask any further questions. Yulu took out from her bag an exquisite little box and handed it to Muga, who was engrossed in the TV nearby. I bought a gift for you. See if you like it. The moment she said those words, everyone present fell silent. Did they hear that correctly? Only yesterday, Yulu was scolding Muji for being a country bumpkin who only cared about money. Why was she giving him a gift today? Looking at the logo on the box, it was clearly very valuable. With a curious look, I turned around, pointed at myself, and asked, "For me?" Yulu nodded. She didn't say much else. I happily took the box. Inside was a watch. The watch face looked discreetly luxurious, inlaid with diamonds and sapphires. I was incredibly shocked inside. Even though I didn't know much about watches, this had to be worth several 100,000 yuan at least. Thinking about how the Mu family would go bankrupt later. Naturally, I wanted to stash away some secret funds before that happened. Money. But after a moment of hesitation, I still shook my head. Such an unusual occurrence must have a catch. Big sister, this watch is far too precious. I can't accept it. It's only 1,000,000 yuan. It's nothing. Tell me if you like anything else in the future. I'll give you something even better. Yula's tone still wasn't overly warm, but it was clear that she had started to accept this younger brother from the countryside. Right at that moment, Mu Beichuan came downstairs and happened to see this scene. Though he was furious inside, he didn't want to show it in front of the family, so he suppressed his anger and asked as if casually, "Big sister, you're treating Mugi so well. I've wanted this watch for a long time too." After saying that, he blinked piteously at Yulu, hoping this pitiful act would gain him more attention from his eldest sister. But to his surprise, Yulu only gave him a cold glance and said flatly, "If you want it, go buy it yourself." This was the first time Yulu had ever been so cold toward Mu Beichuan. She didn't want to be this way. Whenever she thought about Mu Beichuan introducing Ko Yen to her, just for his own gain, she really didn't want to look at this brother, whom she once thought so highly of anymore. Mu Beichuan turned away, his heart heavy with resentment, but with everyone watching, he couldn't lash out. His eyes darted around. Then he suddenly thought of something. "Oh, right. Mom and Dad only bought Muga a house and gave him money today. They haven't bought him a car yet, have they? How about I take him to look at cars tomorrow? I happen to know quite a bit about that." Hearing this, the Mu family members were a bit surprised. Did Mu Baichuan want to apologize to Mu Go? It seemed Mu Baichuan was still quite reasonable. Maybe yesterday was just due to the sudden news, which led to his extreme behavior. Early the next morning, Mu Baichuan actually took me to a dealership specializing in imported luxury cars. But what I didn't expect was Mu Baichuan's bad crowd of friends were already waiting there. Seeing Mu Baichuan and me arrive, they started shouting and mocking us. "Hey, Mu Baichuan, is this the new son your parents brought back? He looks like a total country bumpkin." I didn't bother paying them any attention and walked straight into the shop. I had to admit, this shop really wasn't for ordinary people. Judging by the price tags, even the cheapest car cost millions. While I was admiring them, I wanted to open a car door to see the interior. But the moment I lifted my hand, a shrill scream erupted from behind me. "Hey, what do you think you're doing?" Immediately after, a woman in her 30s rushed over. Before I could even look at her, "You're not allowed to touch the cars here." The woman blocked my way. With a look of disdain, she said, "If you're not buying, why touch them? If you scratch them, can you even afford to pay for it?" Having said that, she led a group of sales staff and hurried over to Mu Baichuan's group of bad friends. With an incredibly sycophantic expression, I almost laughed from anger. I didn't bother arguing with that crazy woman. I went to a nearby table and sat down. I wasn't in any hurry anyway. Let's see what expressions those employees will have after they realize those guys have no intention of buying a car, after wasting half their day on them. Just then, a glass of warm water was placed in front of me, immediately followed by a timid voice saying, "Actually, I think they're very expensive too." I looked up, confused. "What did you say?" I saw a small, cute-looking girl standing in front of me, smiling shyly. She whispered, I said, "The cars here are really too expensive." I finally realized what was happening. It turned out she was agreeing with what I had said earlier. I couldn't help but chuckle. "Are you new here?" "Yes, I just started my internship last month." I took a quick look at the name tag on her chest. Su Chen Chen. It really suited her personality. Meanwhile, the sales staff surrounding Mu Baichuan over there finally started to catch on. These rich playboys not only had no intention of buying anything, but were also mocking them and making crude comments. But even though they realized it, they didn't dare offend them, so they could only force smiles and try to humor these young masters. I gave a cold laugh and waved to Su Qinshin. Su Qinshin processed the order. "I'll take this one." Pointed at a supercar and said, Su Qinshin didn't seem to react at first. She just stood there in a daze for a long time. Then she suddenly realized what was happening. Her cute little face lit up with excitement. She immediately ran into the inner office and brought out all the paperwork. I pulled out the black card my mother gave me and signed it. The whole process went smoothly, without a single moment of hesitation. Su Qianqian's eyes were full of emotion. In the months she'd been working here, this was her very first sale. I stood up and smiled at her. Then I turned to walk out. The saleswoman from earlier was fuming after being mocked by Mu Baichuan's group. She had nowhere to vent her anger. Seeing me about to leave, she saw an opening to release her frustration. She said snidely, "If you're not buying, then get out." However, before she could finish her sentence, she saw the receipt in my hand. Having a slow brain is one thing, but it's worse when your eyes have issues, judging people by their looks and treating trash like treasure. Hearing this, Mu Baichuan's face also darkened. The other salespeople immediately realized what had happened and looked towards Su Qianqian one by one, their eyes filled with resentment. I shook my head in disdain. I was about to leave the 4S dealership when a woman's voice suddenly called out, "Muji, what are you doing here?" I turned to look at the garishly dressed woman in front of me. After thinking for a while, I tentatively asked, "Are you Liu Ruyan?" Liu Ruyan looked at me with contempt. "Mugi, stop pretending." "Pretending what? I can't believe you've been clinging to me like a leech for all these years. Didn't I reject you back then? How thick is your skin? Won't you just leave me alone?" Her sudden outburst left me stunned. Back in school, though Liu Ruyan was the school beauty, I never once confessed my feelings to her, did I? Besides, meeting her today was a total coincidence. Is she suffering from major delusions? Right then, Mu Beichuan and his bunch of bad friends overheard what Liu Ruyan said. They rushed forward to mock me. "Mugi, this is your fault, you know. How can you stalk a girl like this just to chase her?" Then they all looked over at Liu Ruyan and noticed she really was quite beautiful. So they started teasing her. "Hey beauty, why not consider our young master Mu Baichuan instead? If you stay with him, I guarantee no lowlife will ever bother you again." Liu Ruyan had spent years navigating all sorts of complex social circles and had met all kinds of people. Seeing Mu Baichuan's wealthy young master attire, a spark immediately lit up in her eyes. She hurried over to Mu Baichuan. She said coquettishly, "Hello, young master Mu Baichuan. My name is Liu Ruyan. It's a pleasure to meet you." Mu Baichuan, of course, wouldn't just pick up a random girlfriend off the street. At most, she'd just be a fling. But since she was the girl Muga had supposedly confessed to, that changed things entirely. He stepped forward and put his arm around Liu Ruyan's shoulders. Glancing provocatively at Muga, he said, "Oh my. So this is the girl you could never reach?" Liu Ruyan blushed. She pouted, "Oh, young master Mu Baichuan, don't tease me like that." I thought to myself, what school beauty? Her private life is a mess. So young, yet she's already had 4 abortions. Anyway, I never confessed to her. Anyone who wants this woman can take her, and fast. Just don't let her have anything to do with me. Mu Baichuan, you better be careful. Don't catch anything from her. Though I thought this. My face remained expressionless. No matter how much Mu Baichuan provoked me, I stayed indifferent. I only hoped. Mu Baichuan would quickly take Liu Ruyan away to do whatever. Sure enough, my reaction made Mu Baichuan think he had won. He felt incredibly satisfied. He immediately grabbed Liu Ruyan and left with a lecherous expression. This young master is going to enjoy himself now. Find your own way home. I gave him a look of disdain. I was about to call a taxi when another voice rang out, "Mugi, what are you doing here?" I turned around. It was my second sister. Yugi's presence made my eyes light up. I immediately ran over. "Big sister, this is great. You're here too." I was just about to go home. "Is it on your way?" Yuya cut me off directly. I acted as if I hadn't heard her and jumped straight into the car. "Sister, really? I haven't even said where I'm going yet. How do you know it's not on your way?" Yuya was helpless, but he was her brother after all. Even if she didn't like him, she couldn't do anything too extreme. She could only restart the car. Planning to take Mugi home first, I leaned back comfortably in the back seat and closed my eyes to rest. But right at that moment, the system's voice suddenly rang out, "Warning! Warning! Yuya is about to face a bloody disaster." I snapped my eyes open. What, a bloody disaster? I hurriedly asked the system what exactly was happening, but the usually sharp system had gone silent. Then I remembered the system once mentioned. Regarding matters of life and death, it doesn't have the authority to reveal too much. Was my second sister about to face major trouble? Thinking of this, I hurriedly looked at Yuya as she drove. "Sister, are you heading to the hospital for work?" Yuya nodded indifferently. "In that case, I'm not going home anymore. I'll come with you." I quickly made up an excuse. "I've had a bit of a headache lately. I think I've caught a cold. I'll go see a doctor for some medicine." Through the rearview mirror, Yu looked at Muga with pure disgust. She seemed to be trying to figure out what scheme this guy was up to now. Seeing my serious expression, she finally agreed. Half an hour later, the car pulled into the hospital parking lot. I followed close behind my sister, watching all directions and listening intently, staying alert for the coming danger. Entering the hospital lobby, Yu pointed ahead. Go on. The registration desk is over there. I mumbled in agreement and headed toward the registration desk first, waiting for my sister to enter the elevator. I immediately bolted for the stairs and rushed up to the 6th floor to Yui's surgical office. Just as I reached the 6th floor, before I could even catch my breath, I heard screams nearby, "Murder! All security, quick! Someone's being killed." My heart skipped a beat. Ignoring my fatigue, I ran toward the source of the noise. From a distance, I saw a man in hospital scrubs, holding a fruit knife in his hand, shouting aggressively, while swinging the knife wildly. "You all deserve to die. You all deserve to die." The man's eyes were bloodshot. His voice was hoarse. He looked mentally unstable, and security hadn't arrived yet. No one dared to step forward. I heard some nurses nearby, whispering to each other. Apparently, he was a psychiatric patient from the floor above. Rumor has it his wife died in a car accident last month. She was already dead by the time she arrived here, but he blames us for not doing enough to save her. He's gone mad, a complete lunatic. I frowned, hurriedly searching for my sister in the crowd, but she didn't seem to be there. Just as I was about to breathe a sigh of relief, the elevator nearby made a ding sound, catching the man's attention. Yu stepped out of the elevator. The man saw Yu, and his eyes turned even redder. "It's you. It's you. You killed my wife. I'm going to kill you." He roared and charged at her with a knife. Yu had never seen such a terrifying scene. She froze instantly on the spot. Her face turned pale with sheer terror. Seeing the knife about to strike, a shadow suddenly rushed forward and delivered a kick straight to the man's waist. His body flew uncontrollably to the side. I moved like lightning, knocking the knife out of his hand and pinning him to the floor. I grabbed a roll of gauze from the nurse's station and swiftly tied his hands behind his back. The man was restrained, but he didn't stop struggling and screaming, "Let me go. I have to kill her." It was getting on my nerves, so I stuffed another pack of gauze into his mouth. After handling everything, I brushed off my hands and walked over to my sister. "Sister, are you okay?" Yuya took a deep breath, trying to calm her emotions. "No, fine." More than fear, she was more astonished by her brother's fighting skills. Security quickly arrived and escorted the man out of the hospital to hand him over to the police. But now Yuya had a new headache. Even though Mugi had just helped her, she didn't understand why this guy kept following her everywhere. Wherever she went, he followed. This was her workplace, after all. It didn't look good to have a shadow constantly behind her. After some thought, she took out her phone and transferred 1 million yuan to Mugi and used the excuse, "Thanks for today. I should treat you to dinner, but my work is just too busy. Take this money and go buy yourself something nice to eat." How could I not realize she just didn't want to see my face? So I just waved goodbye. Only then did Yuya breathe a sigh of relief and began to focus on her work. Finally, it was time to clock out. Yuya stretched and drove away from the hospital. As soon as she left the hospital, she saw Mugi sitting alone in the park, across from the hospital, looking lost in thought. She walked over, puzzled. "Why are you still here?" I smiled and shook my head at her. "I don't have anything urgent today, so I'm just sitting here to rest for a bit." Yuya frowned. "All afternoon. Have you been sitting here waiting for me this whole time?" I just smiled and said nothing. At that moment, Yuya felt a lump in her throat. She felt a bit uneasy, but she couldn't quite name the feeling. "Whatever, let's go. I'll drive you home." Just as they stood up, a kitten ran out from the nearby bushes. Yui's eyes lit up. She reached out her arms. "Oh wow, how could there be such a cute kitten here? What are you doing here, little one?" The kitten seemed to have no resistance against Yuya at all, and simply let her pick it up. While Yuya was stroking the cat and looking for something to feed it, Mugi in her thoughts suddenly echoed. "What? A dismembered corpse? Oh my god. Does it have to be this horrific?" I was incredibly shocked right then. I didn't expect to be able to understand the cat. The cat nodded to my sister and me, then ran toward a secluded corner of the park. From a distance, I could already smell a foul odor. A strange fear surged within me. A moment later, I saw 7 or 8 stray cats gathered around something, gnawing on it. Coming closer, I discovered they were black plastic bags. The bags had been ripped open by the stray cats, revealing scraps of meat inside. I felt so nauseous, I almost vomited right there. Just as I was about to call the police, my sister Yuya's voice came from behind me. Stay right here, don't move. Let me check the situation first. She took a pair of gloves out of her bag and put on a face mask, approaching those black plastic bags. When she reached the bags, Yuya carefully opened one of them, gently searching inside and pulling out a few bone fragments. Looking at these bones, her expression turned grim. It's true. It really is. Call the police, quickly. Then she even casually picked up a scrap of meat. Her face was incredibly serious. Standing behind her, I got goosebumps. A chill ran down my spine. Sister is way too bold, that's human flesh. Lucky my original goal wasn't to become an andrologist. Otherwise, I can't imagine what it'd be like. About 10 minutes later, the police arrived at the scene. Forensic technicians immediately began to examine the scene. Yuya and I were taken aside for statements. At around 2:30 a.m. today, the culprit who dumped the body was about this high. He had a beard too, with a somewhat stocky build, and he wore glasses. The officer gave me a skeptical look. How do you know that? I pointed at the cats and answered truthfully. They told me. Even the officer didn't believe it, thinking my mind had been scrambled by the shock. All right, leave your phone numbers and personal information. You can wait nearby for a while. We might need more detailed statements shortly. During the day, many people come to the park to exercise. So news of this quickly spread. A few reporters arrived and began live streaming, while Sume was scrolling through her phone at home. She saw two familiar figures on the news report. She hurriedly called Yuya to ask what had happened. My sister recounted everything that had happened to her mother. We're fine. We just happened to be passing by. You and Dad don't need to come down here, despite Yuya's best efforts to stop them. Sume and Mu Qingshan arrived quickly. Mu Beichuan was also dragged along, looking reluctant. Seeing they were both safe and sound, they finally breathed a sigh of relief. How could you be so unlucky? Suddenly run into such a terrible thing. Mu Qingshan frowned, watching the technicians inside the police tape, something most people don't see in a lifetime. And it happens to you kids. Mu Beichuan immediately piped in. Exactly. I even heard that my second sister encountered a mental patient swinging a knife at the hospital this afternoon. So many dangerous things happening in just one day. I wonder who is truly the unlucky one here. After saying that, he didn't forget to glance at me several times. I frowned. Meeting a psychopath is indeed a stroke of bad luck. But discovering the body isn't necessarily a bad thing. Only by finding the body as early as possible can we help the police find the killer quickly. Mu Beichuan snorted coldly. Right. You're lucky enough not to be considered the suspect yourself. Hearing this, Mu Qingshan frowned and shouted. They're the kind of people who love to fabricate stories. If someone else hears those words, it will invite a lot of trouble. Mu Beichuan pouted with an air of indifference. What's the use of being scared now? I see the police aren't letting him go. I'm afraid they already view him as the prime suspect. I just feel bad for my second sister being dragged into this by him. Mu Yuyu couldn't stand listening to it any longer. She said angrily, Beichuan, shut up. Mu Beichuan, seeing his second sister scold him too, became even more furious. Nuna, you are way too kind. Who knows, maybe he's the one who caused all this trouble. Sume frowned, glancing at the reporters in the distance, then gave Mu Beichuan a searing glare. How did I not realize before that this boy Beichuan is actually so brainless? Soon, several police officers stepped out from the police line, walking towards them. Mu Beichuan deliberately mocked loudly. See, everyone, I wasn't wrong at all, was I? Police are here to take him away. Hearing that, the reporters turned their heads in unison. It turns out the chairman of the Mu group is also here. Coupled with Mu Beichuan's words just now, they quickly turned their camera lenses in this direction. A few bold reporters even approached, planning to interview them right then and there. At this moment, Officer Zhang leading the way arrived. First, he waved the reporters aside, then looked at me with squinted, smiling eyes. You're Mu Ji, right? The case is solved. It was exactly the person you described. The information you provided was a huge help in our investigation. Our leadership will publicly commend and reward you. After saying that, he also looked at Mu Qingshan and Sume standing nearby and praised them. Truly worthy of being prominent entrepreneurs of our city, to raise such an outstanding child. Mu Qingshan's worried expression instantly vanished. He quickly waved his hands. Not at all, not at all. This is just our civic duty. At this moment, his heart was soaring with joy. He didn't expect that his biological son, home for only 3 days, would bring such immense glory to the Mu family. Once the news of the public commendation breaks, the company's stock is bound to skyrocket again. After the police left, I looked at Mu Beichuan, who was trying to slip away. and said nonchalantly, "It seems someone had a very deep misunderstanding of me just now." Hearing this, Mu Baichuan froze, intended to pretend he didn't hear so he could escape quickly, but I let out a sigh and continued, "You're already this old. You should take responsibility for your words. Are you planning to treat what you just said as if it were nothing?" Mu Qingshan shouted angrily, "Baichuan, how have I taught you all these years? Apologize to Mu Gi this instant." Mu Baichuan knew he couldn't play dumb anymore. He turned back, noticing the disappointed looks on Su Mei and Mu Yuye's faces. He bowed his head and said to me, I'm sorry." I didn't even bother to acknowledge him, turning away to get into my second sister's car. Through the two incidents that occurred today, Mu Yuye's attitude towards me had finally shifted. On the way home, she gradually accepted the fact that she could hear my inner thoughts. The most important thing was, throughout the entire journey, Mugi's inner voice was filled with praise that lifted her to the clouds. Sometimes he praised her beauty, sometimes her professional skills, and her composure in the face of danger. Though he was a bit talkative and annoying, who wouldn't enjoy being complimented? As soon as we arrived home, I saw an unexpected figure standing outside the villa. It was Gu Yan, Mu Yula's fiancé. Seeing Mu Yuya, Gu Yan immediately approached warmly. "Sister Yuya, you're finally back. I couldn't get a hold of Yulu, and worried something happened to her, so I decided to drop by and check." Mu Yuya frowned. "There's some business at the overseas branch that my eldest sister needs to handle. She left on a flight this morning. Didn't she tell you?" Upon hearing this, Gu Yan was slightly stunned. He scratched his head awkwardly. "She really didn't mention it to me." Mu Yuya seemed to notice something unusual, but still said patiently, "Wait until she gets back, and ask her yourself." Just then, Mu Beichuan also returned to the villa. Seeing Gu Yan, he rushed over. "Brother Yan, you're here, I was just looking for you." After saying that, he dragged Gu Yan straight out of the villa. I watched those two whispering outside for a long time, before Mu Beichuan gleefully walked back inside. I knew those two weren't plotting anything good. Now I just hope that love-struck fool Mu Yulu doesn't come back looking for him. After the school semester began, I thought Mu Beichuan would be quiet for a while, but instead, he started pushing his luck. On the first day of school, as soon as I entered the dormitory, trouble came knocking on my door. A tall, large student stood right at my room entrance. "Mu Ji, get out here." I frowned and said calmly, "I don't think I know you." He gave a cold laugh. "You'll know me very soon." After saying that, several other burly students appeared from behind him. They invited me to the small woods behind the dorm. Once there, they stopped all pretenses, roughly shoving me aside. "Kid, don't blame us. Blame yourself for offending someone you shouldn't have." With that, the leaders sneered, stepping forward to shove my shoulder. I laughed coldly. This spot is quite nice, very secluded. After saying that, I moved like lightning, grabbing his wrist and twisting it down. He knelt on the ground in agony. Curses began pouring from his mouth. The rest, seeing this, moved to jump in and help. Before they could even touch me, I twisted the leader's arm even harder, forcing it behind his back at a bizarre angle. If you dare take another step, his arm is as good as gone. The leader's face contorted in pain, beads of cold sweat rolling down his forehead. He hurriedly barked at the others. "Stop. You guys, don't do anything." Then he looked up at me. "Big brother, I'm sorry. We're just doing this because we were paid. There's no need to make this a big deal." I sneered, shoving him away. "In the future, keep your eyes open. Don't turn yourself into a cripple for a few measly bucks." Just at that moment, I suddenly heard the sound of wind whistling by my ear. My body instinctively spun around as a cold, gleaming pocket knife flashed past my face. As it grazed by, I vigilantly glanced at the youth in the crowd holding the knife. His eyes were filled with malice, a cold smirk playing on his lips. That aura was definitely not that of an ordinary student. I realized then that I had underestimated the situation. Planting a professional assassin among students is truly devious. This ignited a surge of fury within me. I stopped holding back and charged straight into the crowd. 5 minutes later, I had easily knocked them all down. The noise in the woods finally drew the attention of those outside. Soon, someone went to report to security, and even the school's board of directors arrived. Inside the university faculty office, a portly, middle-aged man with a face full of disdain was looking at academic advisor Li Xiaoli. "What kind of image does this gang fight project for our school?" Li Xiaoli didn't back down either, Dean's son. "This was absolutely not a gang fight. My student was being bullied by a group of people." The fat man snorted. "Ms. Li, look at how your student beat my students into this miserable state. And you call this bullying? Who exactly is bullying whom?" Li Xiaoli sneered, Dean's son. "You You can't just flip the narrative, just because your bunch of useless students got thrashed by mine. Clearly, a whole group went looking for trouble with my student. It's an obvious case of bullying. Right then, there was a knock at the door. Mu Beichuan entered smugly, Dean's son.
I'd like to report something. When Dean's son saw Mu Beichuan, he immediately put on a fawning expression. Young Master Mu, how is your esteemed father? What is it that you'd like to report? Mu Beichuan nodded with satisfaction. Father is well. I want to report that I saw someone fighting in the small woods just now. Saying that, he pointed at me. It was him. I saw him using his martial arts skills to bully other students. Even when they begged for mercy, he still refused to stop. Hearing this, Li Xiaoli's expression became very grim. Hey student, are you sure you didn't see it wrong? Mu Beichuan, seeing Li Xiaoli dare to doubt him, showed his dissatisfaction. Ms. Li, I can guarantee that I saw everything very clearly. Dean's son laughed triumphantly. Ms. Li, are you satisfied now? We have a witness and evidence. Your student must take responsibility for his actions. Li Xiaoli, not yet knowing the full story, and realizing she was at a disadvantage today, tried to stall for time. I am just an advisor. For a matter this significant, we still need to report to our department head to get a final decision. But unexpectedly, Dean's son waved his hand. That won't do. Look, all of my students are injured. Today you either give my students a proper explanation, or I'm calling the police. Li Xiaoli frowned. Then what do you want? Dean's son stared at Li Xiaoli and said with a grin, simple. Report him so he can be expelled. A student this aggressive and violent doesn't deserve to stay at our university. Furthermore, my wife isn't home tonight, and I'd like to invite you, Ms. Li, for dinner. If you agree, I naturally won't report this matter further. At those words, Li Xiaoli's face turned icy cold. Fatty son, please have some self-respect. Dean's son's expression suddenly froze. He was about to turn and mock me, the one who'd been silent, when I suddenly spoke up. Dean's son, are you serious about that? Dean's son was startled. What did you say? I looked at him with an expression of complete sincerity. I mean, you said that. Students who hit others don't deserve to stay at school. Did you really mean that? Of course I meant it. I absolutely cannot tolerate such bad elements staying in our school, threatening the safety of other students. After hearing that, I clapped my hands. Well said, Dean's son. Our school is lucky to have a dean like you. It's truly a blessing. Since that's the case, Dean's son, please take a very close look at this. Saying that, I pulled my phone out from my pocket. By the time Dean's son and Mu Beichuan saw the video content on the phone, they both froze in absolute shock. Back in the faculty office, I held up my phone. Fortunately, I recorded everything from beginning to end to help Dean's son here sweep away the dangerous elements from our campus. Hearing this, the faces of everyone present changed instantly, especially the dozen or so students who were thrashed, whose faces suddenly turned as pale as ash. Only Li Xiaoli's eyes sparked with excitement. Mugia, you really recorded it. I nodded and hit the play button on the video. When the whole room heard the line, receive someone's money, so we have to do their job, they knew the nature of the case was already settled. Dean's son's face turned beet red, standing there in a daze for a long time, speechless. He knew there was no way this footage could be fake. Mu Beichuan, standing nearby, screamed, It's fake. It's definitely been faked. Dean's son cursed inwardly. What an idiot. Sure enough, I turned to Dean's son and said, Since that's how it is, let's just call the police. Let the officers determine whether it's real or fake. Dean's son looked like he was about to collapse. The dozen or so who were beaten had all given him bribes before. They all came from wealthy backgrounds. They were basically his golden geese. If they were hauled off to jail under his watch, his position as dean would likely go up in smoke. So, he quickly forced a laugh. Now, no need for the police. I think no matter who started it, look at yourself. Aren't you still safe and sound? On the other hand, my students are all injured. In my view, why don't both sides just back down, apologize, and call it a day? I didn't expect that this dean's son could actually be this thick-skinned. Just as I was about to object, the sound of hurried footsteps echoed from outside the door. I looked up, a little surprised. Sister Yuye, what are you doing here? The person who arrived was Mu Yuye. Earlier at the company, she had received a call from Li Xiaoli. For some reason, when she heard Mu Ge was being ganged up on, she had sped to the school as fast as she could. Hearing my call, Dean's son froze. Second sister? You mean the Mu family's second lady is your sister? I didn't even bother answering him, and instead recounted the whole incident to Mu Yuye. First, Mu Yuye glared coldly at Mu Beichuan, turned to look at Dean's son, her voice icy. The matter is as clear as day. I wonder how you intend to handle this.
Mu Baichuan quickly interjected. Nuna. Dean's son just said both sides should apologize to each other. And then just let it go. Mu Yuye's brow furrowed even deeper. If this matter is too difficult for you to handle, Dean's son, then let's follow my brother's wish and directly call the police. This time, Dean's son truly panicked. Don't, please don't. How about this? I will make them apologize formally to Mu Ji. As he spoke, he winked and signaled to the group of students. They, of course, understood clearly that they could never afford to offend the Mu family. So immediately, they all hummed their heads, forming a line to apologize to Mu Ji one by one. Finally, under Mu Yuye's firm advice, the thugs were forced to compensate me a total of 500,000 yuan. Of course, most of that money was paid by Dean's son through clenched teeth. While walking on the campus ground, Mu Baichuan kept rattling off explanations to Mu Yuye. Nuna, please listen to me. I was also threatened by them. They said if I didn't testify for them, that I would be the next one to be bullied. He babbled throughout the walk, but Mu Yuye didn't even bother to give him a single glance. Just then, she heard my thoughts again. Still acting? These guys were clearly bribed by Gu Yan, after being incited by Mu Baichuan. To say Mu Baichuan didn't know about this, I wouldn't believe it even if you killed me. Mu Yuye was stunned upon hearing this. This matter with Mu Gi, how could it be linked to my eldest sister's fiancé? While she was still in a state of confusion, she suddenly saw at the school gate the dozen students from earlier surrounding a car, and the person inside was none other than Gu Yan. Gu Yan, after hearing the report from his lackeys, cursed irritably for a few moments, then tossed out several stacks of cash from the car before speeding away and disappearing. Witnessing that scene, Mu Yuye's heart was filled with dread. It really is him. It seems Mu Ji hasn't told a single lie this whole time. From that day on, the annoying flies around me had significantly decreased. I also began focusing all my mind on my studies. Unexpectedly, in an elective course on literature appreciation, I ran into Mu Baichuan once again. Someone like him, who doesn't even attend core classes, how could he possibly show up for this elective? I soon discovered the reason. I saw Mu Baichuan walk into the classroom and immediately settled down next to a beautiful girl wearing a pure white dress, talking to her incessantly, but the girl seemed not the least bit interested. Her slightly furrowed brows clearly revealed her current state of impatience. I could only shake my head in weary disgust. Truly, the only thing that can catch Mu Baichuan's eye, besides money, is women. Shortly after, the professor entered the room, smiling as he addressed the class. Thank you for registering for my course. For this first lesson, let's start by introducing ourselves. One by one, the students stood up to give a brief introduction. But when it was Mu Baichuan's turn, his style took a 180-degree turn. He stood up adjusting his clothes and looked around the class with a haughty expression. Hello, everyone. My name is Mu Baichuan. That's right, the Mu of the Mu group. All those large commercial buildings belong to my family. This unique style of self-introduction immediately drew everyone's attention. What's he showing off for? He's just got some dirty money. But some female students' eyes were shining like stars. I think you're just jealous. Money is money. Can you even compare to him? Facing those whispers, Mu Baichuan didn't get angry. He just glanced at his lackeys and said loudly, Today I prepared meeting gifts for everyone here. As soon as he said that, most of the previous criticism vanished into thin air. After all, who doesn't want free gifts? Once Mu Baichuan finished his intro, he stepped toward the girl in the white dress, and after some mysterious hand gestures, he produced a rose and offered it to her. This is a flower I specially prepared for you. Witnessing this, the people around began to buzz with excitement. Isn't that the famous ice queen of the arts department? A rich heir and the school beauty. What a perfect match. Seeing the admiring gazes of his classmates, Mu Baichuan's vanity was satisfied to the extreme. But right then, a voice full of contempt rang out. Words fail me. Showing off such tacky magic tricks like that. My unreserved mockery left Mu Baichuan completely stunned. You call me tacky? Do you even know how to do it? I gave a cold laugh and stood up. Fine. Let me show everyone a performance that isn't embarrassing. After saying that, I raised my right hand high. Everyone watched my every move intently, anxiously waiting to see what I would produce. However, after more than 10 seconds passed, they saw me still standing perfectly still, just holding my right hand up and looking at the ceiling. While everyone was still bewildered, I suddenly shouted to the heavens, Thunder summoning art. Immediately after, I swung my right hand down forcefully. At that exact moment, in the clear blue sky, a world-shaking boom resounded. A real bolt of lightning struck straight into the earth. In an instant, everyone was paralyzed with shock. Before they could even regain their senses, roared once more, Strike for me. This time, the thunder was even more violent, and even the ground began to tremble. The chandeliers overhead swayed wildly, and immediately following that, From outside came the terrified screams of students. "Oh my God, it's on fire, look." Lightning hit the roof. The fire is huge. Hearing this, all the students in the class jumped up, scrambling to flee outside. Everyone looked up at the charred remains of the roof. Inside the library, their hearts filled with terror. There was clearly a lightning rod, yet it was still struck like this. Just how powerful was that bolt of lightning? Suddenly, someone pointed at me. "It's him. He's the one who brought down the lightning." Yes, I saw it with my own eyes earlier. Soon, this feat of mine spread with lightning speed, and almost the entire school knew about it. Watching their reactions, I didn't know what to say for a moment. No way, I just wanted to perform a small trick. Did these people actually believe it was real? But what I didn't expect was that some really did believe it, even reporting it to the head teacher. In the end, there was no other choice. Mu Yuya was once again summoned to the school. After learning the details of the situation, she looked at me, somewhat speechless. "I heard you just leveled the entire library." I could only shake my head wearily. "Do you believe it?" Mu Yuya nodded. "I believe it. It'd be strange if I did." Despite saying that, Mu Yuya still announced that the Mu Group would pay for the renovation of the school library. But at that very moment, Mu Yuya heard my inner thoughts again. Mu Yuya really has a kind heart, but that idiot Mu Baichuan just won't leave anyone alone. Even though he thought that, Mu Yuyi still affirmed the Mu Group would spend money to repair the library. Yet at that same time, Mu Yuyi once again heard my voice. Sister Yuyi is so kind-hearted, but that foolish Mu Baichuan just won't give her any peace. To cut costs and pocket the profits, he ended up building a shoddy substandard project. In the end, an accident happened and someone even died. It caused my parents, who were praised as philanthropists, to be viciously attacked by the online community. Poor father. He was even hit by a car driven by the victim's family, leaving him disabled. It's truly tragic. Hearing this, Mu Yuye's pupils suddenly constricted. It seems this matter needs to be reconsidered very carefully. Leaving the office, Mu Beishuan couldn't help but grumble. "Mugi, tell me, how terrifying was that lightning summoning trick of yours?" It forced father to pay a massive amount of compensation. I looked at him as if he were an idiot. "What era is this? Do you really believe that I can summon lightning? If I actually could, I would have struck you dead a long time ago." Mu Beichuan was so angry that his footsteps faltered. But when he saw his second sister cast him a cold glare, he was stunned. "This has nothing to do with me. Why are you looking at me like that, Nuna?" Monday, I just returned to school. I thought that after the weekend, the rumors about me would have died down. But unexpectedly, while the lightning story faded, news about Mu Beichuan spending money to renovate the school library was spreading like wildfire everywhere. That young master of the Mu family is truly a good person. He even took the initiative to donate money and effort to fix the library. At noon, ignoring the stares of the surrounding students, I went to the cafeteria to eat. Just as I was about to sit down, a few guys came over and slammed the table. Hey. Do you still have the nerve to sit here and eat? Don't you know how to summon lightning? Try summoning it again. Let's see if you can strike down this whole cafeteria." The leader even picked up my food tray and casually dumped it straight into the nearby trash can. After a round of provocation and mockery, they were about to leave. I calmly said, "I paid for this lunch. Don't you intend to compensate me?" Hearing that, the group froze. Then they turned around and laughed exaggeratedly. "Kid, do you have any idea who I am? And you dare ask me for money?" Right at that moment, Mu Beichuan also walked into the cafeteria. The lead student's eyes suddenly lit up. He knew this was his chance to show off. With that in mind, he grabbed my arm and sneered. "I think you're the one who needs to pay young Master Baichuan back. He used his family's money to help the school fix the library. Wasn't that all because of you? Tell me, how do you plan to—" Before I could answer, that guy immediately put on a flattering face and nodded toward Mu Baichuan. He continued, "I know young Master Baichuan is generous. His family doesn't lack this bit of money. But you should show some gratitude. Let's see, since there's a crowd here, how about you kneel down and thank young Master Baichuan?" I didn't even bother with him, but looked straight at Mu Baichuan. "You know full well that some things can't be hidden forever, right?" Mu Baichuan gave a cold snort. He naturally understood the meaning behind my words, but he didn't care that much. After all, even if others found out that Mu Gi is the true young master of the Mu family, it wouldn't have that big of an impact on him. As long as he hadn't left the Mu family, these sycophants would continue to flatter him. Right at this moment, a pleasant voice rang out. "What are you all doing?" Everyone turned to look and was momentarily stunned, because the person speaking was none other than the arts department's beauty whom Mu Baichuan once pursued. Xiao Mohan. Mu Baichuan quickly switched to a fawning expression and walked towards Xiao Mohan. But Xiao Mohan didn't even give him a second glance. She walked straight to my side. Are you okay? I smiled and nodded at her. Then I said, I'm fine. Then I glanced at the people around us with disdain, and then looked back at Mu Baichuan. Since you didn't want to explain things clearly to your lackeys, then I'll just have to say it myself. Actually, the person who paid to renovate the library was my father. I am the true young master of the Mu family. As for him, at most, he's just my parents' adopted son. After speaking, a slight smile played on my lips, revealing an arrogant demeanor for the first time. Mu Baichuan, my parents were kind enough to let you stay in the Mu house, not so you could go around talking nonsense. The surrounding students were all stunned, especially the students who had just been causing trouble for me. A sense of foreboding suddenly rose in their hearts. Mu Baichuan frowned. He actually knew he couldn't hide it for long, but he didn't expect to be exposed in this situation. He spoke with a bit of a lack of confidence. The Mu family has raised me for 20 years. Do you really think a country bumpkin like you has any chance of inheriting the Mu family estate? With me here, you're just dreaming. After saying that, he turned and left immediately. His lackeys, unable to judge the current situation, had no choice but to follow him out in a scramble. The cafeteria finally became quiet again. I looked at Xiao Mohan and said with a smile, Thanks for earlier. Let me treat you to a meal. Xiao Mohan's face flushed slightly. After a moment of hesitation, she nodded in agreement. How about this weekend, then? I nodded and held up my phone. Sure. Well, get in touch before then. Xiao Mohan smiled and nodded. Then she turned and left the cafeteria. After leaving the cafeteria, I didn't go back to the dorm. Instead, I immediately called the police, because I had felt something was wrong earlier. Then I suddenly remembered. When those students tried to force me to kneel and apologize to Mu Baichuan, one of them seemed to have reached into my pocket, and that's when my meal card went missing. The police arrived and immediately began an investigation. The surveillance cameras confirmed exactly that. However, the police officers said with some hesitation, if it's just a meal card, I'm afraid the amount isn't enough to open a criminal case. I shook my head. It's enough. There's over 5,000 yuan on my card. What I didn't tell them was that I had just finished topping it up using my phone. The lead officer was stunned, smiling bitterly to himself. Are all kids these days this wealthy? Not long after, the police took the lead student from before into the police car. When he found out there were 5,000 yuan on my card, his face instantly collapsed. Mu Ji, you dare set me up? I didn't bother with him and turned to go back to the dorm. As for Mu Baichuan, realizing that today he was not only rejected by his goddess, but even his lackey was taken away by the police. His first reaction was to go home and tattle, but then he seemed to realize that the family members who once cared for him the most now seemed to have no desire to take his side. After thinking it over carefully, he called Gu Yan. Following the address Gu Yan sent, Mu Baichuan went to a mysterious bar. When he stepped inside the bar and saw the woman sitting next to Gu Yan, he was completely stunned. How is it you? At that moment, Mu Baichuan pushed open the door to the private room and saw Gu Yan embracing a scantily clad woman and drinking happily. Seeing Mu Baichuan arrive, Gu Yan frowned deeply. Didn't I tell you not to come? Mu Baichuan didn't stand on ceremony and flopped right down. Then he shot an annoyed glance at the woman and said grumpily, Brother Yan, you haven't even married my sister yet. Playing around late like this every day, aren't you afraid my sister will find out? Gu Yan replied impatiently, As long as you keep your mouth shut, she won't find out. Did you come here today just to say this? Mu Baichuan snorted coldly. Isn't it because of that Mu Ge again? Not only did he humiliate me in broad daylight, but he even stole my woman. Gu Yan, upon hearing this, wasn't angry. Instead, he spoke with a smug face. Baichuan, you're just young and hot-headed. It's just a woman. You can have any kind you want. Wait until I marry your eldest sister. It won't be too late to deal with him slowly then. As he spoke, he patted Mu Baichuan's shoulder affectionately. In a bit, I'll find a girl to keep you company. I guarantee she'll be 100 times prettier than that other one. Mu Baichuan frowned. He'd always looked down on these kinds of women as filthy, unworthy of appearing in high-class places, so he made up a casual excuse and left. After leaving, Mu Baichuan found his group of bad influences to go drinking and drown his sorrows. After 3 rounds of drinks, Mu Baichuan recalled the grievances of the past few days. Fueled by the instigation of those around him, he angrily slammed the table and stood up. Muga, just you wait and see how I deal with you. That afternoon, I was sitting in the car with my second sister, Mu Yuye, preparing to go home for a meal. But just as we were passing through an intersection, a car, from the opposite direction rushed out at extreme speed, speeding directly toward Mu Yuye's car. I didn't have time to shout a warning and quickly grabbed the steering wheel. Even though the two cars still had a minor collision, luckily, no one was hurt. I opened the car door, intending to confront the driver who caused the accident, but that car accelerated and vanished from sight. I stood frozen in place, the sound of the system echoing in my head. My action gradually turned grim. After Mu Yuye got out of the car, she suddenly heard my inner thoughts. Mu Baichuan. That absolute bastard. It's one thing to pull petty tricks on a normal day, but now he actually dares to try and take my life. Hearing this, Mu Yuye's hands wouldn't stop trembling. Whether it was the shock of surviving the accident or the shock of hearing my inner thoughts, she took out her phone. I'll call the police right now. Right at this moment, my phone rang. Seeing the name on the screen, a warmth spread through me. Hello? Mohan, have you thought about what to eat this weekend? However, only noisy sounds came from the other end. It took a long time before a weak voice was heard. Muga, save me. Hearing Xiao Mohan's voice, cold sweat immediately broke out on my back. Where are you? Hua, Yao. Hotel. After saying that, a string of curses erupted on the other end, and the call was disconnected. I was terrified. This is bad. It seems she's been discovered. There's no time to lose. I hurriedly said goodbye to Mu Yuye and quickly rushed off. I soon arrived at the lobby of the Hua Yao Hotel. Guided by the system, I dashed up the floors, finally stopping in front of a guest room door. Thinking for a moment, I knocked on the door next to it. Hello, food delivery is here. Delivery? The person inside seemed a bit suspicious, but still quickly opened the door. Before he could react, I swung my fist and gave him a punch. Then I rushed inside and quickly knocked out the two guys in there. I grabbed two cables in the room and tied them up securely. I even stuffed rags into their mouths. The entire operation was incredibly smooth. Having dealt with the guards, I turned and went into the next room. The moment I entered, I saw Xiao Mohan lying on the bed. Her hands were tightly bound. Her eyes were closed. Her breathing was extremely heavy. Clearly, someone had drugged her. I rushed over immediately. First, I untied Xiao Mohan's hands. But something unexpected happened. The moment Xiao Mohan's hands were freed, she immediately wrapped her arms around my neck. She even leaned her whole body into mine. I was startled and hastily backed away. Whoa, 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 Mohan. It's me. At this point, Xiao Mohan looked to be in extreme pain. Her face was unnaturally flushed. I feel so bad. Help me. Frowning, I carried her toward the bathroom and placed her in the bathtub. Before Xiao Mohan could even regain her senses, freezing cold water poured straight down over her head. Xiao Mohan, lost in her haze, suddenly shivered. She let out a cry of surprise, but the sound was incredibly seductive. I am a normal man after all. If I said I didn't feel anything, it'd be lying. But I still suppressed the urges in my heart and continued to douse Xiao Mohan with water. By now, Xiao Mohan was much more awake than before. Or rather, her consciousness had always been alert. She just couldn't control her own body. Seeing her gradually calm down, I asked with concern, "Do you feel better?" But unexpectedly, Xiao Mohan looked at me with a gaze full of resentment and said aggrievedly, "No." At this moment, she was seriously doubting her own attractiveness. I'm already like this, and he still won't touch me. Is Muji even a man? This is so frustrating. Hearing her thoughts, I frowned and looked Xiao Mohan up and down. Xiao Mohan saw my staring gaze and blushed, secretly anticipating what would happen next. Seeing her face start to redden again, nodded, just as I suspected. This drug indeed has lingering side effects, but I have a solution. As I spoke, I reached out my hand. Xiao Mohan nodded half-comprehendingly, watching the large hand slowly approach her. Shyly, she slowly closed her eyes, and then I pushed her head straight into the water. Half an hour later, Xiao Mohan was lying on a bed in a different room. She was both embarrassed and annoyed. After all, Muji had saved her. But why did she feel so angry? Finally, she took a deep breath, looked at me playing on my phone on the sofa nearby, and said, "Muji, I really owe you this time. Thank you so much." I didn't even look up. While playing on my phone, I said nonchalantly, "It's nothing. Don't mention it." Seeing my utterly indifferent reaction, Xiao Mohan finally couldn't take it anymore. Just as she was about to blow up, I suddenly looked up and looked at her with a mischievous smile. "Do you want to see a good show?" Xiao Mohan was startled by my sudden question. She asked doubtfully, "What did you say?" "Do you want to get back at the one who hurt you?" I said with a smile. Xiao Mohan replied, "Of course I do." Xiao Mohan clenched her fist. "Is there something I need to do?" I shook my head and leaned back. "You don't need to do a thing. Just wait and see." Xiao Mo. Han had no idea what Mu Gi had up his sleeve, so she patiently sat aside. A moment later, she suddenly heard footsteps approaching from outside. Then came a man's roaring voice. I told you guys to watch one girl, and you couldn't even do that. A bunch of useless trash. When she heard that voice, her expression changed violently. It was Mu Baichuan. Xiao Mohan had thought she was being targeted by some random thugs. She didn't expect the mastermind to be Mu Baichuan. The more she thought about it, the angrier she got. She stood up, intending to go out and confront him. Spoke up quickly. Don't be so hasty. If you go out now, besides scolding him, it won't solve anything. Plus, they might just catch you all over again. Xiao Mohan stopped in her tracks at those words and anxiously sat back down. Her eyes slightly reddened. Is it true that you rich people can just do whatever you want? I looked at her seriously. Don't worry. The wicked will definitely face retribution. At least in this matter, I won't let it slide. As I spoke, my fingers typed rapidly on my phone screen. At this time, in the next room, Mu Baichuan felt like his whole body was on fire. He had planned it all out. He was going to spend a wild night with Xiao Mohan tonight, so he had prepared a lot of things beforehand. He had even taken medication in advance. Now that she was gone, he felt like he was about to explode. But also right at this moment, a knock sounded at the door. He irritably threw on some clothes and opened the door. Thinking it was his lackey, he was surprised to see a woman with a smoking hot body. She was wearing very little, looking incredibly seductive. Mu Baichuan gulped audibly. His eyes bulged like brass bells. Who are you looking for? The next second, that woman actually took the initiative and threw herself into Mu Baichuan's arms. Big brother, can you let me stay the night? I'll do anything you want. The woman's coquettish voice completely shattered the last of Mu Baichuan's defenses. He scooped the woman up and turned to throw her onto the bed. Hearing the door close in the next room, I gave a cold laugh and picked up my phone. Hello? Is this the police? I'd like to report something, Xiao Mo. Han was sitting right across from me. Missing my extremely serious act of playing a concerned citizen, she gaped in shock. Wait, that actually works? I hung up and stood by the window, waiting until the police car pulled up below. Then I turned back to Xiao Mohan. Do you want to go see it with your own eyes, or just watch from here? Xiao Mohan thought for a bit. No, I'll stay here. Everything went exactly according to my plan. Mu Baichuan was escorted away by the police. As he was pushed into the police car, he was still screaming frantically. I drove Xiao Mohan back to school. Not long after I got home, second sister Mu Yuye had picked up Mu Baichuan from the police station and brought him home. There was no other way when my parents got the news. They were so angry they flatly refused to go to the station. They said to let the police handle it impartially and leave Mu Baichuan to fend for himself. But someone had to step up and resolve this kind of thing. So Mu Yuye Nuna became the unlucky one to shoulder it. The moment Mu Baichuan stepped through the door, he saw the grim expressions on our parents' faces. Immediately, he pointed at Mu Gi. It's you. You must have set us up. At this point, Mu Baichuan's mind still wasn't quite clear. In his head, he only thought that no matter what, he had to drag Mu Gi down with him. Hearing him say that, Mu Qingshan's and Su Mei's faces grew even grimmer. But before they could speak, Mu Yuye Nuna barked out coldly. Mu Gi was with me that entire time. We even got into a car accident on the way. How could he possibly have time to set you up? Hearing this, Mu Baichuan was stunned. Only now did it occur to him that he was the one who had arranged that car accident. Today, he had truly shot himself in the foot. That kept his mouth shut, not daring to say another word. However, Mu Qingshan and Su Mei quickly caught the key point of their daughter's words. They hurriedly asked, what car accident? Nuna then summarized the whole incident from today for our parents to hear. Don't worry, mother and father. The police have already started searching for the driver. I'm sure there will be results soon. Mother Su Mei walked quickly over to me, and not asking about the police work. I'm asking if you two are okay. Do you need to go to the hospital for a checkup? What if? Mother, we're really fine. Mu Yuye Nuna hurriedly reassured her. We were just a bit startled. Hearing that, Mu Qingshan and Su Mei felt somewhat relieved. However, witnessing this scene, Mu Baichuan, standing by, felt incredibly resentful. He clenched both fists. He couldn't hold it back anymore and yelled, You guys, do you really not care about me at all? Mu Qingshan and Su Mei didn't even bother to look at him, thinking to themselves, what is there to care about? Care about whether you had a good time playing around. Finally, Mu Yuye Nuna gave a small sigh. Police said that woman is a professional criminal. Mu Baichuan, you better go get a health checkup as soon as possible. Mu Baichuan stood blankly for a long time before understanding her meaning. The rage in his heart flared even more violently. Just as he was about to start arguing stubbornly, Mu Yue's cold voice rang out again. After all, we'll still be living under the same roof. If you spread some filthy disease, it'll affect everyone else. Mu Baichuan's eyes widened in shock at those words. He was so angry he let out a laugh. So that's all you guys care about. Ever since Mugu came back to this house, you haven't treated me as family anymore. If that's how it is, then I'll just leave. With that, he turned and stomped out, slamming the door behind him. If it were in the past, Sume would have surely rushed after him. But this time, she only let out a soft sigh and silently shook her head in disappointment. 3 days later, as for Mu Baichuan, there was absolutely no word from him. The atmosphere in the house also became incredibly heavy. After all, as far as his parents were concerned, Mu Baichuan was still the child they had raised with their own hands for 20 years. Even without a blood relation, they couldn't just turn a blind eye. Fearing that something bad might happen to Mu Baichuan out there, they hesitated for a long time but still wanted to send someone to look for him. But right at that moment, they heard my inner thoughts again. What is there to even worry about? I bet Mu Baichuan is so busy partying right now that he's forgotten the way home. Every day he's hitting the bars with that bad crowd, having great food and expensive liquor, and when he's tired, he can just head to the hotel next door and have a blissful sleep. Think he's suffering? He wouldn't endure even a tiny bit of hardship. When they heard these words, the anxiety of the Mu couple indeed lessened quite a bit. To confirm the truth, Mu Qingshan ordered his assistant to investigate. Very soon after, they found information on Mu Baichuan. The most recent ID card swipe information. Indeed, it matched perfectly with what Mu Gi was thinking. The initial worry in Mu Qingshan's heart had now turned into a flame of fury. Fine, very good. He really didn't let himself suffer at all. But just a few days later, Mu Baichuan shamelessly showed his face back home on his own. The whole family was having dinner at the time, and everyone appeared completely indifferent, because from a few minutes ago, they had already heard Muge's inner thoughts. They knew perfectly well Mu Baichuan would return. Furthermore, the reason was that he had spent every last penny, and with his cards frozen, he had no choice but to crawl back home. But even so, when they finally saw Mu Baichuan with their own eyes, the whole family was still stunned. Mu Baichuan's hair was as messy as a crow's nest. His clothes were stained and covered in dust. His face and body were covered in bruises and purple welts. Clearly, he had just been in a fight with someone. Mu Qingshan frowned and demanded, "What happened?" Mu Baichuan's heart was filled with resentment. He had been gone for so many days, yet not a single person in the family had bothered to look for him even once. This was completely unprecedented. Thinking of that, he furiously pointed directly at Muge's face. "I know my friends offended you, but after all, you and I are living under the same roof. Why did you hire someone to beat me up like this?" The moment the words left his mouth, the angry shout of the second sister, Mu Wu Yi, rang out. "Baichuan, what nonsense are you talking about? Mu Gi has been at home all day today, so how could he have gone out to get into a fight?" Hearing that, Mu Baichuan's eyes filled with resentment. "Second sister, why have even you been fooled by him? Even if he stayed at home, that doesn't mean that he couldn't contact thugs outside." Right at that moment, Mu Baichuan's phone suddenly rang. He answered with great impatience, about to snap at the caller, but as soon as he heard what the person on the other end said, his expression changed immediately and he hurriedly replied, Okay, I understand. I'll head over there right now." As soon as he hung up, without explaining anything more to his family, he turned and rushed straight out of the villa. I gave a cold laugh, leisurely snacking on fruit, while thinking to myself, serves you right beating someone until they're hospitalized. Did you think throwing a few pennies around would make them let it go? Didn't expect this, did you? You've messed with the wrong person this time. They'd rather not take a single cent of compensation just to put you in jail. Let's see how you talk your way out of this one. Hearing those thoughts, Mu Qingshan and Tu Mei looked at each other. Their expressions became extremely grim. Was this really the son they had raised for 20 years? Why did they feel like he was becoming more and more of a stranger? Thinking of this, Mu Qingshan stood up abruptly and turned to the butler. "Ready the car. We're going to the hospital right now." Tu Mei also realized the gravity of the situation, so she hurriedly followed him. They had just set foot in the hospital when they heard Mu Baichuan's voice coming from outside a hospital room. "Do you even know who I am? I am the young master of the Mu family. Remember it well, the Mu family. The kind of family you couldn't touch in a lifetime. If you know what's good for you, take the money and shut up. If you dare to cause any more trouble, do you believe I'll make you regret being born into this world?" Such an arrogant tone made Mu Qingshan and Tu Mei's hearts tighten. Up until now, they had always thought that no matter what Baichuan did, it was just temporary mischievous behavior, just a childish temper, that his nature wasn't bad, that he just needed to mature a bit and he'd be fine. But they never expected that he would now dare use the Mu family's power to bully others. Just thinking about it, Mu Qingshan couldn't restrain himself anymore and pushed the door open to step inside. He shouted in anger, "Bai Chuan, you absolute bastard." Hearing the shout, Mu Bai Chuan jumped in fright. When he turned and saw his parents standing there, cold sweat instantly poured down his back. The reason he was afraid of this coming out wasn't because he feared the police, but because he feared his parents. If his parents kicked him out of the Mu family forever because of this, then his life would effectively be over. Thinking of that, he quickly pointed at the yellow-haired thug lying on the hospital bed. "Dad, Mom, why are you both here?" It was him. Mugi, it was him. He came looking for me to beat me up. Pff, that yellow-haired guy wasn't exactly a pushover either. He spat disdainfully, then shouted in Mu Baichuan's face, "How much money have you owed me these past few days? Don't you know that yourself? It's just as well your parents are here now. Pay off your debt to me first, then we can talk about you hitting me." Mu Baichuan flinched in fear, hurriedly denying it. "You, don't talk nonsense. I'm a member of the Mu family. How could I owe a street thug like you anything?" Mu Qingshan's brow furrowed tightly. What on earth is going on here? Mu Baichuan quickly interrupted. "Dad, it's nothing, I just ran into a crazy guy. You should go home first. Don't listen to his lies. He's just... Shut your mouth right now. I am asking him." Mu Qingshan shouted, cutting Mu Baichuan off. Then he turned to look at the yellow-haired man sitting on the bed. "Are you saying that my son owes you money?" Hearing this, the yellow-haired man paused for a second, then turned to look at Mu Baichuan with a mocking expression. He spoke up. "The grand young master of the Mu family can't even afford to pay back over 100,000. Turns out you're sneaking out behind your old man's back to party." Then he looked directly at Mu Qingshan. "That's right. Your son went out drinking and clubbing until he ran out of money, so he borrowed over 100,000 yuan from me. I came here today to collect the debt, and not only did he not pay, he even beat me up. Chairman Mu, you are a prominent figure in this capital city, after all. If this gets out, I'm afraid it will damage your reputation." Although the yellow-haired man's words were full of contempt, what he said was the truth. If this scandal were actually to be leaked, it would deal a heavy blow to the Mu family's prestige. It might even shake the very foundation of the company. Just thinking about that. Mu Qingshan was so angry his whole body trembled. "Fine. I'll have my assistant transfer the money to you shortly." After saying that, he glared at Mu Baichuan fiercely. But at this moment, Mu Baichuan still didn't feel at fault at all. He even argued back loudly. "Why are you looking at me? Who told you all to block all my cards? You left me without a single penny. I even had to borrow a measly 100,000 from someone." Mu Qingshan laughed in anger. "Fine, wonderful. Are you saying it's my fault?" Mu Baichuan intended to keep arguing back, but seeing his father's bone-chilling gaze, he instantly went silent, not daring to utter another word. Tu Mei stepped forward, looking at Mu Baichuan with doubt. "Your father only blocked your cards the day before yesterday. In just 2 days, you've already spent over 100,000 yuan. Mu Baichuan nodded as if it were perfectly natural. "So what? When you're out making your own way, high costs are normal, aren't they? Our family isn't exactly short of this pocket change, Mom and Dad." Right at this moment, the yellow-haired man on the hospital bed suddenly burst out laughing. "It seems you two still don't know what your precious son has been up to out there. Well, you rich folks really play hard. Web celebrities here, young models there, nothing comes cheap." Hearing that, Mu Baichuan flew into a rage. He rushed forward, intending to give the yellow-haired man another beating. "Shut your damn mouth." But the yellow-haired man wasn't the least bit afraid. He raised his head in challenge. "Come on, do it. Hit me again if you have the guts. I'm telling you, don't push your luck. Even with your parents here, I'll still report you to the police just the same." Mu Baichuan's hand, frozen in mid-air, suddenly stopped. Finally, he dropped his hand in frustration. He was scared. Scared that if he had a criminal record, he would be kicked out of the Mu family immediately. Right then, standing to one side, second sister Mu Wuyi, who was watching the drama, suddenly heard my thoughts. Mu Baichuan and this yellow-haired guy really have some history. A few years ago, this yellow-haired guy was Mu Baichuan's online dating partner. Back then, both were using female accounts to pretend to be girls online. Coincidentally, they both believed the other was actually a girl. Too bad that online romance was discovered by Mom. She secretly changed Mu Baichuan's password, causing that virtual love to end prematurely. Poor yellow-haired guy. Ever since then, he spent every day buried in internet cafes, just hoping to find his true love from the past again. When you think about it, they were each other's first loves. These thoughts left the entire Mu family stunned. Everyone had a strange expression on their face. Mu Wuye broke into a mischievous, drama-hungry smile. She felt that hearing Muja's inner thoughts every day was truly incredibly interesting. She stepped forward to lecture him. Baichuan, what's with you? Is your internet addiction still that bad? You haven't been going to class lately. Have you just been hanging around bars and internet cafes? Hearing this, Mu Baichuan's cold sweat started to pour. He hurriedly shook his head. No, that's not it, second sister. I was just having a little fun. Mu Wuyi intentionally raised her voice. You should focus on studying properly. Remember a few years ago when you were into online dating, to the point where you didn't even know the other person's real gender. You really are a piece of work. Mu Baichuan never expected that his sister would be cruel enough to expose his dark secrets in front of everyone. That was his first love, after all. He didn't want the person he once loved to become the talk of the town, so he hurriedly tried to stop her. Second sister, please don't say any more. But Mu Wuyi gave him no chance to resist. She talked nonstop. I remember back then. What was your online handle? Love struck buried love. You're a guy, for heaven's sake. It's bad enough you dated online, but you even pretended to be a girl. Aren't you ashamed, little brother? Mu Wuyi kept talking incessantly about it, her eyes occasionally glancing at the yellow-haired man on the bed. And just as expected, as soon as he heard the name Love Struck Buried Love, a look of extreme shock flashed in the yellow-haired man's eyes. He hurriedly stared at Mu Baichuan. Wait a minute. What game were you playing back then? Mu Baichuan was annoyed. What's it to you? But Mu Wuyi answered for him. I think it was some game called Affinity. It's obviously a game for girls. The person you dated online was pretty something too. For your sake, they even changed their name to what was it again? Arrogant Buried Love. Immediately, the yellow-haired man sprang up from the bed like a coil. His body, wrapped in bandages, didn't seem to feel any pain anymore. He shakily pointed at Mu Baichuan, his face turning pale. He blurted out, You? Are you Zhao Chun? Mu Baichuan was also stunned, but then he suddenly realized something. His pupils constricted. Are you a Kiao? The two of them stared at each other for a long 10 seconds. The scene that followed left everyone in the hospital room wide-eyed in astonishment. When Mu Baichuan realized the rough yellow-haired guy before him was actually little Kiao, the first love he'd always kept deep in his heart for all those years. He locked himself in his room for 3 days and nights without stepping foot outside. By the time he reappeared, he looked like a completely different person. He appeared extremely obedient and compliant every day. However, the Mu couple were no longer fooled by that fake exterior this time. Too many things had happened recently, and it had caused Mu Baichuan's place in their hearts to sink to the lowest possible level. He was a child they'd raised for so long, after all, so they planned to send Mu Baichuan to live abroad. This was also a stepping stone as they prepared to sever ties with him completely. That's right, a total renunciation of their bond. If they hadn't heard Mu's thoughts recently, then the Mu family's reputation would likely have been ruined by him long ago. This plan, the Mu couple didn't discuss it with anyone else in the family. They only intended to wait until Mu Baichuan had been abroad for a year or two, before gradually moving forward with the separation. Something unexpected happened. Mu Baichuan, who wasn't all that bright, strangely sensed the change in his parents' attitude toward him this time. That cold shift, after several times of eavesdropping, led him to catch on to their intentions. This made him both resentful and incredibly fearful. He didn't want to go, and he absolutely couldn't leave, because once he left, he'd be penniless with nothing left. After careful consideration, he once again sought out the underground bar to meet Gu Yan. As soon as he walked in, he couldn't help but cry out, "Brother-in-law, you absolutely have to help me this time." At first, Gu Yan didn't care much, just waving his hand to tell him to drink up or get out of his sight. But this time, Mu Baichuan was no longer fawning like before. He looked at Gu Yan with a malicious gaze and said, "Gu Yan, if you refuse to help me, then don't blame me for disregarding our past history." Hearing this, Gu Yan's expression also darkened. "Mu Baichuan, do you even know what the hell you're talking about?" Mu Baichuan knew full well he had no way out, so he nonchalantly flopped onto the sofa, meeting Gu Yan's gaze. "If you help me this time, I'll continue to support you in the future. But if you stay on the sidelines, then don't even dream about marrying my sister." Gu Yan realized that this time something big had probably happened. He waved away the beauties surrounding him, and asked with a frown, "Mu Baichuan, don't think that just because you helped me in the past, you can use that tone to threaten me now." Mu Baichuan grit his teeth, clenching his fists. "Brother Yan, please don't blame me. I've really been driven into a corner. Those two old corpses of the Mu family plan to send me abroad, and they even want to sever ties with me. Think about it. If I have to leave, then who will be your spy on the inside?" Though Gu Yan was extremely annoyed, Thinking of the Mu family's massive fortune, he suppressed his anger and coolly replied, "Fine. How exactly do you want me to help?" Hearing this, Mu Baichuan's lips curled into a smug smirk. He proceeded to tell Gu Yan his entire sinister plan. Early morning on the weekend, the doorbell rang insistently outside the Mu family mansion. At this hour, the servants had all gone out to the market. Children in the house would normally still be deep in sleep. Only Mu Qingshan and Tu Mei were out in the yard doing morning exercises. Tu Mei went to open the door, looking curiously at the delivery person standing outside. "Why is the delivery so early today?" Mu Qingshan wiped the sweat from his forehead, not suspecting a thing. Maybe it's because we ordered so much stuff. The delivery company probably just brought it early to get it over with. But, as that delivery man handed the package to Tu Mei, Mu Qingshan suddenly saw a cold gleam reflecting from the bottom of the box. "Watch out!" Mu Qingshan roared and lunged forward, but it was already too late. The delivery man kicked the cardboard box aside, pulled out a razor-sharp knife, and lunged straight at Tu Mei. Tu Mei was frozen in terror on the spot, her face bloodless, standing perfectly still. She even forgot to dodge the attack. In that split-second life-or-death moment, a figure darted in from the side, stepping right in front of Tu Mei. "Mom, look out." That person was none other than Mu Baichuan. In the blink of an eye, the blade still shot forward like an arrow and plunged straight into Mu Baichuan's shoulder. Ah! A scream of agony rang out. The excruciating pain made Mu Baichuan's face go pale instantly. Yet he didn't back down, roaring in fury instead, "You dare touch my mother, I'll kill you." The assassin, disguised as a delivery man, seeing someone interfere, didn't dare stay long and immediately turned and fled. By then, Mu Qingshan also reached them. Seeing Mu Baichuan's bloody shoulder, he was so angry his whole body shook. "Call a doctor! Call the police right now!" Fortunately, the servants, who had gone to buy groceries, had just returned. Seeing the chaotic scene before them, they scrambled and trembled as they called for help. Then together they helped Mu Baichuan into the living room. A short while later, the doctor and assistants arrived and began giving first aid and bandaging Mu Baichuan's wound. At that very moment, I came walking downstairs, yawning. Seeing the commotion downstairs, I couldn't help but be stunned. What is this? Mu Baichuan is already injured so early in the morning. Right now, Tu Mei's heart was filled with regret and self-reproach. He was a child shed-raised, after all, and in the face of danger. He had disregarded his own life to protect her like that. Yes, she had been planning to sever ties with him. It seemed that deep down, Baichuan was still a good child. Tu Mei secretly decided, perhaps. The idea of sending Baichuan abroad needs to be carefully reconsidered, but in that very moment, my inner thoughts once again echoed in Tu Mei's ears. Mu Baichuan's self-harm ruse is truly ruthless. Just to stay in the Mu family, even dared to stab himself. I guess he succeeded. It looks like Mom has really been moved. Hearing this, Tu Mei's tears immediately stopped. What do you mean, a self-harm ruse? He directed and starred in his own play, connecting the dots of past events. Tu Mei now completely believed what Mu Gi was thinking. And naturally, those words also transmitted straight to Mu Qingshan and the second sister, Mu Wu Yi. They simultaneously frowned, staring at Mu Baichuan, who was still absorbed in his acting. Second sister Mu Wu Yi finally couldn't hold back and spoke. "Baichuan, I remember that every weekend you sleep with your eyes shut until noon. You never even bother with breakfast. Why are you up at the crack of dawn today?" Mu Baichuan seemed not to expect that someone would suddenly question him on this. He blanked for a moment and then stammered out an explanation. Well, it's just, I don't know why, I just suddenly had insomnia today. So I plan to go down to the yard and exercise with Mom and Dad." Mu Wu Yi appeared deep in thought. "Well, that's truly quite a coincidence. It's lucky you got up early today. Otherwise, Mom would have been in danger." Right at that moment, the sound of footsteps came from outside. The police had arrived. After getting a basic grasp of the situation, police wanted to extract surveillance footage from around the villa. However, something strange had happened. The entire camera system installed at the main gate had somehow been completely broken for some time now. Even so, the officers patiently reassured them. "Please rest assured about this matter. The camera systems on the outer roads have all just been upgraded to HD. Even if the criminal wore a hat or was masked up, we can still rely on eye characteristics and body shape to track down his identity." Hearing this assurance, the expressions of the Mu family members finally began to relax a bit. Then all eyes turned toward Mu Baichuan, and sure enough, as soon as he heard the officers say they could find the suspect, a flash of extreme panic appeared in the depths of his eyes. And it was those small, unusual gestures that did not escape the observation of the Mu family members. Yet Tu Mei still harbored hope and wanted to give him one last chance. She walked over to Mu Baichuan and asked, Baichuan, are you absolutely sure that you didn't clearly see the person's face at all? Mu Baichuan hurriedly clutched his head, groaning, Mother, I really saw nothing. The situation was so critical at that moment. My mind just went completely blank.
I had only one thought, which was that I must protect you. Saying this, he suddenly went silent, because at this moment, he realized that the concern and worry his relatives had for him earlier had completely vanished before he even knew it. In its place were eyes filled with disappointment and weariness. He started to feel uneasy and asked awkwardly, Everyone, why are you all looking at me with those expressions? I really didn't see his face clearly. Everyone saw the situation with their own eyes back then. If I hadn't risked my life to help in time, then Mother would have. Tu Mei and Mu Qingshan looked at his stubborn face, refusing to admit his fault, and they no longer had the heart to say anything more. He was a child they had raised with all their hearts for 20 years, after all. They really didn't want to be heartless with him at this final moment. At this point, Mu Baichuan, seeing the coldness from his family, vaguely realized something in his heart. Although he still couldn't understand where he had slipped up, it seemed as though everything was beyond saving now. In the following days, when he accidentally saw discarded in the office trash can were several documents about schools abroad, the last fragile sliver of hope in his heart was completely extinguished. He knew perfectly well that his parents were dead set on shipping him off far away. Now, Mu Baichuan's heart was filled with ultimate frustration and rage, but there was really no other choice. After weighing his options, he immediately rushed to the school. He went to the logistics department in charge of the renovations, the person in charge of the library. Director Li, as soon as he saw Mu Baichuan arrive, an obsequious smile immediately spread across his face. What wind blew young Master Mu here today? Come in, please, do come inside. Stepping into the office, Mu Baichuan flopped onto the sofa like a high-ranking general. He nonchalantly said, Director Li, the money from the Mu family must have been transferred a few days ago, right? Why haven't I heard a peep from your side? Don't tell me you're planning to pocket it all yourself. Director Li hurriedly explained, How could that be? He turned and stole a glance outside the door, then whispered, Young Master Mu, didn't we already reach an agreement before? We were supposed to split it only after the renovations were finished. Mu Baichuan rolled his eyes in annoyance. It's only a month's difference. What difference does it make? I've been eyeing a new car lately. I'm a bit short on pocket money. Director Li was fuming with rage inside. He lived in constant anxiety every day just to earn a little commission. Yet this young master just to buy a car demands his share ahead of schedule. Mu Baichuan looked at him impatiently. Just pay my share out of your own pocket for now. Once the project is over, the remaining money will all be yours, so isn't it the same? Director Li gave a heavy sigh. Fine, all right. This is all the private savings I have. I'm transferring it all to you. A moment later, Mu Baichuan received a notification that the money was in his account. This made him feel much more at ease. His expression brightened up considerably. All right, Director Li, then we are all settled. I'm heading out now. Mu Baichuan took the money and began to carry out his next plan. But what he had no idea about was that the notification of the money hitting his bank account was not received by him alone. At this moment, Mu Yuya looked at the transfer records on her phone. She gave a soft, weary sigh. It seems this project budget has indeed been embezzled by Mu Baichuan. All the renovation materials for the library have been swapped for inferior goods. Thinking back to what Mugi said before, that the Mu family would suffer because of the library collapse and face a series of irreparable consequences, Mu Yuyi felt a deep sense of distress in her heart. It turns out 20 years of family ties are now worth nothing. Over the next few days, Mu Yuyi secretly sent someone to keep a close watch on Mu Baichuan. Unexpectedly, she discovered even more of his secrets. After Mu Baichuan seized the library project money, he still didn't stop. He even used the Mu family's name to seek out elite families who have good ties with the Mu's, borrow money everywhere. These matters naturally reached Mu Qingshan's ears. In a fit of rage, he specifically had a notice sent out. From now on, all of Mu Baichuan's money-borrowing activities are strictly his personal actions. They have nothing to do with the Mu family. The people of other clans were all shrewd old foxes. Upon seeing Mu Qingshan's reaction, they could already guess the situation to some extent. Mu Baichuan was repeatedly and bluntly rejected. He gradually became furious and aggressive. You snobbish lapdogs. Do you believe it or not? I'll tell my father to cut off all cooperation with you. Offend me, and sooner or later I'll make you regret it. However, all his frantic actions were instantly silenced by a single sentence from within. Hey kid, if you keep harassing us, we're calling the police. Mu Baichuan. He remembered the humiliation of being escorted away by the police last time. He truly didn't want to experience that ever again.
He had no choice but to slink away miserably. But in the end, he was still taken away. This time, it was the Mu family's bodyguards who came. Stepping through the door and feeling the heavy atmosphere of the house, he began to panic all over again. Father, mother. Suddenly, a teacup flew straight at him. With a loud crash, it smashed against the wall right beside him. Mu Qingshan's face was flushed with rage. In the look he gave him, there wasn't a trace of the affection there used to be. Mu Baichuan was scared out of his wits. He hung his head, his entire body trembling uncontrollably, not daring to utter a single word. Tumai's expression was also incredibly dark. Baichuan, just what exactly do we owe you? For you to turn into such a wretched person. Mu Baichuan saw that his mother was truly furious. Cold sweat poured down his back. His legs went weak with fear. For the first time, he wondered if he had truly done something wrong. Mu Qingshan gave a cold snort. Truly an ungrateful white-eyed wolf that can never be tamed. If I keep letting you stay in the Mu house, sooner or later you'll destroy this entire family. Mu Baichuan saw that the truth was out in the open. His heart filled with even more panic. He didn't dare to imagine. If he no longer had the status of the Mu family's young master, how on earth would he survive? At that thought, he couldn't hold it in any longer. He collapsed directly onto his knees. Father, mother, I was wrong. I truly know I've messed up. I beg you, please forgive me. Actually, what Mu Baichuan didn't know was that the Mu couple had quietly given him so many chances already. It was just that he never knew how to appreciate them. Mu Qingshan stood up. Baichuan, we have made our decision. From now on, you and the Mu family no longer have any relationship. Hearing those words, Mu Baichuan felt as if a thunderclap had just exploded in his head. His whole body collapsed uncontrollably. Seeing his miserable state, Mu Qingshan, filled with disappointment, turned and walked upstairs. Tumai didn't want to look at him any longer either. She quietly followed after him. Mu Baichuan snapped out of it and tried to chase them. But Mu Yuye stepped directly in front of him to block the way. Baichuan, don't make things difficult for our parents anymore. The Mu family has never treated you badly. Time and again you've caused such trouble. Father and mother have made their decision. They will still provide you with a monthly allowance, and living arrangements have already been made for you. It's an apartment near your school. If you still have even a shred of conscience, then go live a stable life on your own. Mu Baichuan gritted his teeth, standing frozen to the spot. He didn't say a single word for a long time. It wasn't that he didn't feel hatred. It was that he didn't dare to, fearing he'd lose even these last things. Mu Baichuan finally left the Mu residence. Time passed day by day. By the third day, he suddenly understood everything. He immediately called all of his lackeys out, and of course, Mu's first love, Liu Ruyen, had to be there.